Hello, everyone, and welcome to another live stream. As per usual. And this week I did read a whole bunch of books. A whole bunch of books. Digital, print, library manga, series that I own, just a whole bunch of stuff. I had quite a few days off this week. Monday was a public holiday. Tuesday was my birthday, so I had birthday leave. Hello, Erin. Welcome to the live stream, as always. But I had a lot of free time this week to read. In saying that, I did read most of this stuff today and yesterday. So not really that much different than usual. In addition to all of the manga that I read, I also saw the Demon Slayer movie in cinemas here with my sister. It's very good, kind of what I expected for it to be. My sister liked it very much. She hasn't read any of the, Demon Slayer manga, so she didn't really know what to expect going into it, but it's been her favorite, shonen franchise film that she's seen in a while, so it's good. I expected to like it. It was very good. I didn't remember entirely what happened in that arc, and although I did remember the ending, so it wasn't super surprising, but it had some great moments, and inspired by that, she also wanted to catch up on some of the seasonal stuff. Hello, Zach. Welcome to the live stream. So we've been catching up on Jujutsu Kaisen as well. We just finished episode 13, which is the end of the versus Mahito arc. So we're halfway through the series and have 8-ish episodes left to catch up. I don't know when or if that'll happen, but but aside from that, I read a whole bunch of books. I have read a whole bunch of books, and a lot of them are gay books. I am forewarning you. I read a lot of BL and Yuri this week. I'll start with the stuff that isn't that. But a majority of what I did read this week was from there. I also wanted to mention, I'm not really going to talk too in depth about them on the live stream, but I also have read all of Starfruit Books' titles. I was very kindly given some review copies, so I will be doing a review video on all of those books. A couple of them were rereads. Hello, 365801. Welcome to the live stream. A couple of them were rereads, but it's nice to revisit them to kind of get my thoughts back in order, and then hopefully I should have those reviews out soonish, sooner rather than later. I do want to try and film them tomorrow. Hello, Matt. Welcome. And speak of the devil, Starfruit Books is in the chat. So yes, I have been reading those titles. I don't want to go too much into them in the live stream, just because I will go into depth on why I enjoy them in the reviews. But I think it's fair to say that I really enjoy all of them. Some titles more than others, but that's, of course, what you'd expect when there's multiple titles, multiple genres and stuff like that. But lots of really, really great stuff. And so if you haven't read any of Starfruit Books' stuff, absolutely do. And thank you. No, honestly, thank you for sending me the review copies, because I've been a little bit slack picking up copies myself over the last couple months. So it was really wonderful catching up on some of the books I've been wanting to get for a while. But so that will be coming in the next week to 10 days-ish, maybe, if I'm really lazy about it, but I'll try not to be. Otherwise, we're going to actually talk about the books that I read. I'm going to start with the library manga that I read. So I'm going to move this and this. So first up, it's actually the last thing that I read this week. I just finished reading the most recent volume of this before I hopped on the live stream. But this is volumes 10 to 12 of Our Haru Ride, or Blue Spring Ride, which is a shoujo teen romance, high school romance, about a girl called Futaba who in middle school was interested in one of her classmates who was very sweet and lovely and like a good friend, but he had to move away kind of abruptly after his parents got divorced, and then they are reunited in high school 3-ish so years later, and he has changed. His personality has changed because after the divorce, his mother subsequently died of cancer, so now he's currently living with his older brother and his father, and obviously he's gone through so much, sad trauma, tragedy in his short life. So now he's kind of doesn't want to get close to people, and he's not the same sweet, kind, lovely boy that he was. Yes, peak shoujo melodrama is exactly the thing. And volume 12, which is this one, is the penultimate volume. So next 13 is the last one. What do I say about these sorts of series? Like, they're exactly what you expect. I feel really shitty for this guy who was her like interim boyfriend while she's trying to figure out her feelings for this guy who she actually has feelings for. I just feel really bad for him. And I think a lot of people do, because I've heard that complaint before in regards to this series. And it's not that Ko is like the worst character, but he's also not incredibly likable insofar as like he's very cocky about wanting to get back together with this girl despite initially being very hot and cold about her, and then pushing her away, but then being really jealous when she's trying to move on with her feelings. And I'm just like, oh my god, teenagers. I don't have a lot of patience for this sort of thing, typically. And Iyosaki Saka is not like a bad creator. I don't hate her or anything, but I just typically like her stuff is definitely, Toma got done dirty. He is a good boy, and I feel he deserves someone way better than Futaba, honestly. Like, she does not deserve him. But all of her stuff, like a lot of this high school shoujo romance stuff, isn't like I'm happy to read it. I do think that it hits a very particular spot. It's very successful with what it does. These sorts of series are always going to be library reads, or, if I really had my arm twisted, maybe a digital purchase. They're not things that I'm going to ever buy and have on the shelf, because I'm never going to revisit this. I'm going to remember this series as like, man, that was a lot of drama. These teenagers need to sort their shit out. And also, this poor boy got done dirty. Like, legitimately. So, it's not that teenagers don't have dramatic romantic lives, or at least in their minds they think they do. But I kind of, like, obviously, like, that these two are going to get together. It's not a surprise. This is the formula. This is what happens with these series. Yeah, the anime, I never seen the anime. I don't know how much of it it adapts. I think it's only 12 episodes, so it might be, 4 or 5, maybe half the series, 12 or 6 volumes. 6-ish volumes. But, like, I don't... Oh, well, I mean, maybe they do deserve each other, because they seem very, like, infatuated, and I I just always see these as, like, like, obviously with shoujo, you're supposed to think, like, oh, they're gonna be together forever and live happily ever after. And I can just see this as, like, okay, they'll date for like 2 years and then they'll break up, and life goes on, and that's not a bad thing. But people don't want, like, I don't think they're good for each other long term necessarily. And they're very, like, for in this moment when you're 17 and passionate about all of your feelings, it works, it's fine. But, like, I would say that both of these kids need to deal with their issues and then have some, like, proper talks with each other, and then probably just, like, go live their lives separately, because I don't know, yikes. As I said, it's not bad, it's not terrible, it's exactly what these sort of high school romantic dramas are meant to be, and it does it very, very well. It's just, like, with 90% of them, that's not typically my thing. Yes. Yeah, like, I'm not going to say that these two have the worst relationship, and if things were done better or handled or written in a different way, or even in the same way, but their choices in how they interacted with the people around them as well, because it's not that they just made each other unhappy, it's that they made a lot of other people unhappy as well over the course of their will they or won't they part of their relationship, that, there's just a lot of issues there. So, yeah, like, there was potential, but like they say in the manga, they both have feelings for each other. They both care about each other. There's been multiple times where it seems like their relationship will develop into something more. So obviously there's chemistry and interest there as well. And that's all fine. And they acknowledge this in that their timing always seems to be off. Their timing always kind of doesn't work out because something else is happening, or because they're not acknowledging their own feelings and all this other stuff. And I don't know. These kids spent like 2 years over this drama. I'd just be worn out. I'd just be worn out. And be like, oh man, that was a lot of stress for... and also now I have a really sweet boyfriend who's very supportive, and why do I have to keep getting dragged back into this? Well, maybe it's because I'm also willing to put in that drama, but... yeah, anyway, so last volume, I don't know when or if my library will be getting it. I assume so. They've had all of the subsequent volumes prior to this, so... I'm waiting for when volume 13 reaches I'm pretty sure the series is finished in English, right? I don't know. I don't keep up with it. But at some point my library will have it. So at some point I will read it, and at some point I will finish it, and I'll be like, yep, okay, thumbs up, cool bananas, kids, that's great. I'm glad things worked out for you. So yeah, that's the first thing. One of the things that I read this week, Ao Haru Ride. The other library manga. Hello, Tay. Welcome to the live stream. The other thing that I read this week from the library was the next volume that I had to read for Slam Dunk. Surprise, surprise. It's more of the same game. And I said this with volume 27 and 28. It's more of the same game, and it will be till the ending. Like, what do I say about this that I haven't said 400 times before? It's their team, Shohoku, against the other team, Sano, who are like the best team in, I don't even know if it's the prefecture or the country or even just the region. I literally don't know what stage of a competition they're in. That's how little I feel like commit some of this stuff to memory. And the game, and I shouldn't complain because we know that I am a sports manga fan. Like, I do enjoy sports series, but we do also know that I just don't understand basketball. I understand it on like a logical level, but I'm not invested enough to like really keep track of what's happening half the time, which is obviously not wonderful when I'm reading a series about, which is 95% basketball games. They're still playing the game. They got 4 minutes left or whatever, and they're going to stretch that over 2 volumes. And I predict that at the very end they'll squeak a victory because they're the underdogs against the absolute best team, and then it's going to be over. It's going to be finished, and that'll be it. I'm just spoiled on the other sports manga series that I've read, obviously, that have come after this, but I have experienced before this. And it's not, I don't hate the series. I don't think it's a bad series. I can absolutely see why a lot of people love this series. I do like, what is his name? Oh my god. Like, I do like Sakuragi. I think he's a fun character. But I never... I feel like this series has a lot of, like, tell, don't show in regards to... And it might be because I don't understand, like, how amazing the sports stuff is in this. Because, again, I don't have the scope of reference. But I always feel like they're like, oh, this character is so amazing, and he's so good at this thing. And other, like, most sports series do that. They're like, oh shit, he's the genius tennis player, or the most amazing spiker or setter, like in Haikyuu, or oh my god, this is the most like prodigy, whatever, right? And again, like, Kuroko cranks it up to 25 out of 10. It is, Cross Game is a very, very long match, and that's not, that's a monthly series, I think, which I couldn't even imagine following that as it came out in Japan either. But there's just something kind of, how do I phrase this? There's something that's not satisfying when you don't really understand the effort that it has taken our main characters to overcome this other, more quote-unquote powerful, more talented, more, this character who has achieved more, has accomplished more. And Tay has brought up and it's something that reading this, it was something that was always in my head, of that, because you could argue that obviously they start things for very different motivations, right? But Hinata and Sakuragi kind of, they didn't start at the same point, but they both come into this sport not really knowing much about it. And so Hinata's very self-motivated. He's wanting to get into the sport because he loves the sport. Sakuragi is wanting to get into the sport because the girl that he likes enjoys the sport. So he's like, dang, I should absolutely do this. And that's maybe also, like, again, I don't dislike Sakuragi, but I just don't understand why he stayed with I mean, I do, because, the girl he likes enjoys it. And then also he has this rivalry with Rukawa. But that's, like, never developed. That's never developed. And I don't care about their rivalry. Rukawa, I don't know anything about him aside from, like, he's so good. He's so good. I'm like, okay, sure. But, like, what is so good? Why is he so good? Everyone's telling me he's so good, but I don't know anything. This volume is Rukawa, like, he finally gets time to struggle and to, like, be playing against the best player in the league. And I'm like, okay, cool. This would have been great 20 volumes ago, but we're on the 29th out of 31 volumes of this series. Like, didn't he kind of leave this to just a little bit late? I don't. Is that judgmental? I don't think that's judgmental, because when you compare it to, and again, I don't like to compare series because they're all do different things, but I do think when comparing to Haikyuu, because there is also a rivalry there, we also have, like, a newbie-ish, quote-unquote, untalented, or, like, not someone who doesn't have the background in the sport coming into it with not a lot of professional training. And then there a rivalry, an ongoing rivalry / kind of partnership, because they're on the same team, with someone who's very committed, who's always had the sport in their life, who's very, very involved. And so with Haikyuu, like, we don't actually know a huge amount about Kageyama's life, like, background before the very end of the series. So in that way, it's similar, but, we still don't know anything about Rukawa. Like, literally, I don't, unless it just banished from my mind. That's very possible, but, like, I don't know. But throughout the course of the series, Kageyama has still had his own things that he's had to do, his own things that he's had to get over, his own goals he's had to achieve. He's still been involved. He's still been a character. He's still been an active part of the series, and as a rival as well. Whereas Rukawa and Sakuragi don't feel like they're rivals because, they bicker at each other every so often. But, like, why does Rukawa even care? Honestly, like, why does he even care to be invested in this? It's not like he likes the girl that is fawning over him and that Sakuragi is interested in. He doesn't care. He's just like, I'm a basketball guy. And I'm like, sure, okay. But Sakuragi has, like, all of these. He wants to be a better basketball player. He wants to win the girl. He wants to be, like, the ace of the team. And that's all, fairly standard protagonist goals. But his rival, like, just doesn't even acknowledge him. He doesn't even be like, dang, he sure has improved, or, like, anything. And I'm like, what? Exactly. And again, yeah, as both you, 365-801, and Tay have said, like, there's emotional conflict, and not only with the rivals on, like, their own team, because not that Haikyuu's unique in this, because obviously Slam Dunk does it as well, and other series do it where, their rival is actually, they have to work together, and they're on the same team, and oh no, it's a different dynamic. But Kuroko, for his ridiculous and dumb and like crazy superpowers, at least it made the Generation of Miracles actual characters and like built up their backstory and showed that there was like a complicated backstory there. It was all dumb. It was all like really stupid, but it was still fun. And at the end of the day, you're like, dang, I'm really happy that Kuroko brought all his ex-teammates out of their weird depression spirals. Man, what a good kid. Kisei, what a good kid. Like, oh man, I'm happy that everything worked out. It's all stupid that it did, and it all, like, the actual basketball is hilarious, but wow, yay. You know what you're getting into. And of course, Haikyuu, I'm biased, but like, it's amazing. So and I remember all the rivals, all of the rival teams in that one. And Kuroko, the bare minimum, I remember all of the Generation of Miracles as well on the rival teams. There's, when it's just like same face guy, same face, like, or well, not same face, but like, oh, generic basketball team one with like super good shooter guy, and I don't remember, and you don't know anything about them. You don't know anything about them, and even though the games are 500 volumes long, you never learn anything about it. Any of these characters, you have zero emotional investment, because the other thing is there's very little downtime between the games, the matches, the whatever these are called, right? Between each basketball game. So there's sort of parts where like, oh yes, Sakuragi's been training to get his slam dunk or his alley-oop or whatever, his rebound skills better. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Like, sure, he's amazing. He's a idiot savant at this stuff. But none of these characters interact like a team do. Like, our main team don't have a lot of consistency with their teammates, whereas Kurosano, they're a very consistent team. They all interact with each other, even if they're not like all best friends. They're just a whole bunch of, they're just kids, and they have to kind of be able to get along with each other to some extent to be able to play together. There's some level of trust there. Again, Kuroko, like, I don't remember any of the non-Generation of Miracles names, but they all like each other on Kuroko's team. There's Izumi, that's another one of them, and there's the guy with the cat mouth. There's the guy who has an injury, and there's the guy who never speaks. And then there's the captain who has the glasses. I don't know any of their names, but they all are actual characters, and they all hang out with each other. And yeah, Haikyuu, like all of Alba Josai and Nekoma, like they actually feel like people who want to hang out with each other. None of these kids, like, I don't know why any of these kids put up with each other. I don't know how they play a game as a team, because they all seem to be very individual focused, which is understandable for Sakuragi because he's like, I'm the best. But all of the other members of this team also have this complex of like, I'm the best. So, you know, I'm ranting a lot about a series that's fine and is very popular with a lot of people, and I'm innately biased because I don't understand the sport, but I don't understand most of the sports for sports manga that I get into, right? Like, I knew nothing about karate before I started Shihaya Furu. I have had very limited experience with volleyball or the other, I mean, Kuroko's basketball is ridiculous, but at least like I could understand it aside from the superpowers. Baseball, I learned entirely through anime and manga. Like, I'm not an athlete. You might not be able to tell, but I don't know anything about team sports. Swimming, tennis, those things I understand. Team sports were never my thing. And just Slam Dunk doesn't have the camaraderie of a team sport, because all of these kids don't seem to like each other, and none of the characters or none of the games seem like they have stakes, because I know that these characters aren't going to lose, because it's almost the end of the series, and if it ended if it ended with a loss, then that would be depressing, right? And I don't think they might have minorly lost one game prior, but that was just in case, compared to, again, Haikyuu and things like that. There's a lot of failure before winning, before achievement. To answer your question, Zach, yes, I haven't watched the anime for Welcome to the Ballroom, which may be a good thing. I love the manga for Welcome to the Ballroom. I'm gonna get to your Peta in a second, but I actually, Welcome to the Ballroom is one of those series that I understand, because I did many years of ballroom dance. I really enjoy that series. I love how the manga at least portrays the athleticism of what dance is, more so than just being like, oh, it's pretty dancing and you're in a nice outfit and wow. It's like, no, that is a strenuous thing and it's hard work. Plus, for the ladies, you're doing all the hard work backwards. I did many years of ballroom dance, not quite competitively, but I have an extensive background in that, so ballroom was my thing. When it was licensed, it's like, I must read this, and it didn't disappoint me, and I'm glad that it's off of hiatus again, but I still need to get volume 10 from Kodansha. And I've heard both good and bad things about the anime, so I will probably try it in the future. It's not like an immediate to watch, but I will get it. I will get to it someday. I've read a couple volumes of Dino, Rise of Diamond. I love that show. I've seen the entirety of the first season, or the first, whatever it is, 75-ish episodes. I haven't watched the second part, but I will, and I do. I like that show a lot, so I absolutely agree. Yes, and this is the thing, again, that I appreciate about Haikyuu, and I appreciate about Free as well, is these are just kids. These are all just teenagers trying to do sports. They're not bad because they want to win. They're not evil. They don't have some dastardly plot. These are just high school kids who want to throw a ball or swim a thing, or they're, and sometimes they don't have to hate each other. You can actually be really good friends, like in Haikyuu, like in Free, like in a lot of series where the team can be inspired by, as well as adamant to beat these rival characters, these teams that they want to win against, but they don't want their families to die. They don't want. The villains in high school. And so to pull this back to Yomushi Pedal. All right, so I don't know if a lot of people on the live stream remember, but at the beginning of coronavirus, or when we were in lockdown here in Australia, not that we're not out of lockdown in Australia generally, but where I live, we haven't been in lockdown for a very long time. But initially, when, quarantining was happening, I was watching a lot of shows. I was watching a lot of anime, catching up with stuff. And one of the series that I wanted to finish, and I haven't quite finished it, but I wanted to finish the first season of Yomoshi Pedal, which I did. But there's like 4 seasons plus a couple movies. And that series is another one where it's just like, everyone has superpowers. Everyone, like, and the thing is that series is all fine and dandy and a bit dumb and like weird with its crazy powers, but ultimately, like, it's just about good boys wanting to ride bicycles or race with bicycles. But then in comes a strange alien lizard person who is pretending to be a high schooler and is just the craziest, weirdest, most grotesque, uncomfortable child I have ever had the displeasure of experiencing. And he's the villain of the piece, and it's kind of amazing, but also I scream every time he's on screen because it just makes that series a whole nother level of wild. Like, if in some future volume of the manga, in like volume 75, because that series is very, very long, it was revealed, what's his name? Midojoshi? Whatever his name is. It is revealed that this lizard boy is actually an alien. He's actually an alien that crash landed on Earth and is now trying to hide amongst the human populace. And Yomoshi Pedal becomes a strange sports sci-fi. I would absolutely accept that. I would absolutely accept that as true and real and perfectly understandable, because that, Midosushi is just, yeah, it's wild. It's but in saying that there's so much, like, it's kind of like Kuroko in that it's not good necessarily, but I do highly enjoy it. I mean, it has to say something. First of all, the anime just has like really weird pacing in so far as that halfway, like the end of the first season, first season is 38 episodes, and the season literally ends in the middle of the big, the big race. The big race that is the most important part. It just ends in the middle of it. I'm like, okay, cool. What? Huh? What? Why? What? Why? Why did they not just like make the first season 50 episodes or like 25 episodes and then put the big race in the second? I don't understand. And then the second season, it finishes that big race, and then it has a bunch of other stuff. And then it's like, okay, that was kind of a normal season. It finished at a kind of normal place. And then the third season is like, okay, so it's the next year. We're going to introduce we kind of introduced a whole bunch of characters. We're going into the new season. Oh, the big race. We're going to start a big race again. And it stops halfway through the big race again. I'm like, what? Why? How? Huh? Why? But in saying that, and I was watching it, I was live, people who follow me on Twitter and who were around saw me losing my mind over Yomoshi Pedal because I was live tweeting, and I hated the captain. I was just like, you are a really terrible captain. You're very unsupportive for this poor child who, like, you forced to join your club and he doesn't know anything about your sport. You have no support system for this kid. I like all the first years. I like Angel Boy from the other team. I like it. Everyone's super gay, so of course I like it. And the second years, they never get any limelight until later in the series, but they are absolutely married. They're like 15 or like 16. They've been married at least 25 years. It's just, it's great. And also like, oh, what? I never remember anyone's names either. Mashima and the other guy, Toro. Are those the right characters? Are those the right character names? I don't remember. But boy with the offensively ugly hair from our main team. Yes, Yopeta is still going, at least manga-wise. Anime-wise, no. It has 4 seasons and a movie, which is not based off of anything. And yes, the second years are definitely married. Yeah, ugly hair senpai and Toro. Makishima, thank you, Blackwind. Makishima and Toto are also very married, but they have this like weird Romeo and Juliet thing going on because they are different rival schools. But I'm here for it, love them. And there's this whole thing, like, okay, so in the movie, they do this whole thing about, because Makishima, after graduation, he's gonna move to England to pursue his, studies. His brother lives there. He's doing all this stuff. And there's this whole thing in the movie where it's like super sad and they say goodbye to him and there's a whole big race. And then they redo that story arc because that's a story arc in the manga, but the movie isn't like related to the show. Well, it's not canonical. The race isn't canonical, at least I don't think. So they just like rehash that whole bit about him leaving and like about the main character being sad about it. And I was like, man, don't try to do this to me again. But because Makishima and Toto are married, it did get like it. I was like, well, man, your love will persevere. I mean, they're definitely doing long distance. That's just, I'm not the one who writes this. Like there must be. There's no way that it's unintentional. Anyway, Yomoshi Pedal is a wild ride, but I did cry at the end of season 2 when the big race finished. I was very proud. And, like, I didn't expect that, so it must be doing something right. Like, I legitimately have gotten emotional over Yomoshi Pedal, despite losing my mind over it on multiple occasions. It's fun. It's one of those things that's trash, but it's fun, and it's that kind of, like, popcorn junk food entertainment that you don't have to put a lot of brain power in, but it's still going to punch you in the gut because you realize that, oh no, I actually care about some of these kids. Some of these kids are also weirdos. I don't care about them, but some of these kids I do care about. I mean, kind of, obviously, like the original third years are gone now. We've got some new characters in there, but it's the big race again. So, like, of course, yeah, it's the rehash. We have new rival schools put in there as well, and some new powers, some new amazing powers. But it's not really much. I don't know what. I'm not following the manga, so I cannot tell you. I'm not committing myself to a 60-something volume sports series. That's a lot, even for me. So maybe one day it will end, and I will find out what happens then. But until then, I still need to watch the 4th season, and I'll keep you guys informed. But we should get back to the actual manga that I've read, because that was like a long time ago. Yes. Creators are not dumb. They're not dumb. They're not dumb. Publishers are not dumb. They know what makes money and who spends money. But yeah, so ultimately Slam Dunk. Again, another like library read, another one that I'm happy that I'm reading it, but it's not like one that is in my top anything, right? Like, it's not going to be my top 10 or series. It's not going to be my top 10 sports series. Like, there's so many other sports series that I enjoy more than this. Some that are, less realistic, that are dumber. And it's not like because I don't think Inoue is a good writer, so that I don't think he's bad at sports. That's not the case. I just don't care enough about this series to remember much, if of any of this, once I'm done with it. And I don't think the ending will change my opinion on that. So I'm glad I'm experiencing it, but it's not a must-have for me or a must-read for me. And of course, like the the Changyi releases were an interesting aside to this whole experience as well. But anyway, we're finished with that. We're going to start with some of the manga that I actually own, that I pay for, and that I love. So first, water. But, okay, I've ranted for 45 minutes. We're going to get to the actual crux of everything that I've read, because literally I've talked about 2 series. Well, I've talked about more than that, but I've talked about 2 series that I've read, so let's try to speed it up. I don't know if Prince of Tennis is still going on, but there's like spin-offs and stuff all the time. Anyway, we're finished with sports. No more sports. I could talk all day about sports, except, no, actually, we will continue talking about sports because, not saying that I'm a genius or anything, but I totally called the March Comes in Like a Lion license, and I have proof, and I'm super happy that Dempa has licensed it. I hope it does really well for them. I'm obviously definitely going to be buying it. I'm glad that the market is in a position where that's a viable series now for publishers. I'm glad that it wasn't passed over because I love Uno's work, obviously. I really enjoy March Comes in Like a Lion, the anime series. And it was just a shame that we didn't have it. Yes, it did, Tay. It did. Dempa, that was one of the 3 licenses that they hinted at. They announced that earlier today / yesterday, whatever it is in your time zone. But yeah, so that's super exciting. That was their sports drama that they hinted at. And they still have a mecha series coming that they've alluded to, and a classic sci-fi, which I'm hoping, fingers crossed, means we may be getting more Takamiya or a reprint of Takamiya stuff and a reprint or like more licenses from Moto Hagio. I would absolutely buy all of those things. I don't know if that's the case, but I want it to be the case. And the fact, and I'm so happy that there's so much excitement for March Comes in Like a Lion. It's great. But I'm hoping that the classic sci-fi is year 24 because that's just their general wheelhouse, and they've also previously licensed a Moto Hagio book, so here's hoping. Yes. And I think it will appeal to people because I think it now has a lot more people wanting it, knowing about it. I think exposed to it just because the anime is on Netflix. That's really, that people kind of, manga fans kind of don't like to accept the fact or kind of ignore the fact that anime adaptation is what can push and exposure to anime adaptation can be what pushes licensing, but it absolutely can be, and the fact that it's on Netflix definitely has helped more people want it, talk about it, etc. So yeah, I'm really glad that I could break that news to you, Tay. And I just broke my fingernail, but that's fine. We're not going to talk about that. In other news, the other series, or one of the next series that I read, very different different genre. I love this series a whole bunch. I was missing the second volume for a little while, but I recently got that one, so I will be talking about, I think, both of these volumes. I don't know. I don't really remember when I got these volumes. Just recently, but I don't know. I don't remember if the third one was in my last month's haul. I'll have to recheck the photos. Anyway, pardon me. I think both. I don't know. My memory's bad. I have to check the video. But I read volume 2 and volume 3 of A Man and His Cat, which is a super adorable, sweet, heartwarming story of a middle-aged man who adopts a ugly cat who nobody wants after and it's kind of implied or revealed in these volumes that he did so after the death of his wife, who was a cat lover. He always promised her that they'd get a cat, but they just never really got around to it. And then after she died, he decided to finally take that jump, and him growing closer to his cat and the two of them finding love with each other. It's so good. I love the series so much. It's super sappy and adorable. Fukumaru is so ugly cute. I love him. I do not have a cat. I have a dog, but she is also precious and adorable, and my baby. Also a pain in the ass, but I love her. And I think this series really understands like pets and that love between pet and owner. There's some other characters with pets, both dogs and cats in here, and it's just so they found each other. They found each other, and they're a family now. Both volumes, but especially volume 3, really goes into our main character. Well, our main Mr. Kanda, Fukumaru's daddy. He goes into like his situation and his life, before adopting a cat, and this real, this grieving process that he's still going through in regards to his wife's death and his career and his kind of guilt over his career. And it's just it's so good. It's so good. It's so cute. There's a period, or there's a chapter about Fukumaru being fixed, right? Being neutered, and his owner's fear about him having to undergo surgery, and like the fact that he might not wake up and might lose someone else. I'm like, it's super duper cute. I love it. And both Mr. Kanda and Fukumaru are just adorable little babies. I say about a literally like 55-year-old man, but he's just, and also like we learn that Kanda-san he's never had a real close relationship with animals. He's never even really touched animals, even in childhood, because of how his mother raised him. And so just bridging that gap, it's so good. Tay, pardon me, it's definitely pricey. This is one that I get from my local comic store, so I pay even more than Square Enix is selling it for. But I can't resist it. And I mean, you're smart to wait for a sale with it, and it's totally worth it. I highly recommend this series. But they are also like super skinny books, because For the first, like, majority of the first 2 volumes, they are 4 or like very short chapters, like 4-page chapters. They're not 4, they're 4-page chapters because it was a Twitter series, like it started on Twitter, but it kind of moved to an actual publisher after a while, so the chapters do get longer once you get a little bit further into it. But oh my god, it's so cute. Oh my god. Yes, so many cute, ugly babies, and I love it. Yeah, so read this manga. It's super duper good. Like, I didn't really need to convince anyone because this certainly has a lot of positive press for it. I don't know anyone who hasn't loved this series. If you've had a pet, even if it's not a cat, I think there's certain things about this that you will love. And it's like, in a weird way, it's a found family story. And it's just super good. It's just super good. Everyone go read this one. Anyway, yeah, so cat tears. The next one is also another super good series that I love. This one by 7 Seas. This one's been out for a little while. I just didn't get it until it was on sale, but I love the series. First volume blew me away. Just, yeah, good. And that is, of course, volume 2 of My Androgynous Boyfriend, which is a josei series by Tameko about, pardon me, a woman. True. Honestly, Nyanko Sensei, peak ugly cat. But so this is a kind of slice of life romance about a working woman who works at a magazine. She's an editor there, and her longtime boyfriend Meguru, who is a androgynous model. He's a cisgendered heterosexual man. He just really likes the androgynous or quote-unquote genderless fashion trends in Japan. So he dresses very prettily. He wears a lot of makeup. He's very particular about his hair and nails, and he is hey, I didn't say that he was horrendous. I love Nyanko Sensei. I feel being drunk and ugly, that's who I am. So he's absolute peak. He's just the best. But this series, everyone go read it. It's, if you want healthy, sweet, lovely relationship, established relationship, supportive relationship, this is the one. And also just breaking gender norms. Like, obviously, for Meguru, his style is part of like a larger fashion movement in Japan. And androgynous isn't really quite the same word. But even despite that, he's definitely, like, the gender roles for this relationship are a little bit flipped in that, Wako, the girlfriend of this piece, she's kind of the main breadwinner. He stays at home and does most of the chores and cooks and looks after things. He does have a job at a boutique, like a store, and he's a model. And she was the one who kind of built up his social media following and kind of pushed him into doing more, modeling and stuff like that, because the reason they got together in high school is because she has an absolute, like, love for beautiful people. And she doesn't see herself as very beautiful. She doesn't put a lot of effort into how she looks, but she absolutely was immediately drawn to this boy in a couple grades younger than her, and she again like wanted to. She's just like, you're so beautiful, and I like, we need to make an Instagram for you. We need to like let people know how beautiful you are, because you deserve, the world deserves to see you, because you're just a perfect human being. And after spending time together, he falls for her, and they're just really lovely. They're just really lovely, and it's super cute. We're introduced to another neat androgynous boy, who is actually paired up with Meguro, and they're given like this weird debut as like a modeling unit, where they're both, you know, pretty androgynous boys. And yeah, healthy relationship, really sweet. It is also, I mean, I've said it before. I said it with the first volume, and my whole pickup for that one. But I just really appreciate a couple that's been together for a while, like that has a really strong relationship, and none of the drama comes from them. Like, when we compare it with this crap, right? Like, this isn't crap, but you know what I mean. Like, there's no misunderstandings. They're super supportive of each other in their careers. They've been together a long time, so they understand each other. There's just a domesticity, right? A domestic life that these two have. The first chapter they go to visit her parents for New Year's, and her family loves him. They're like, oh my god, you're amazing, and also, why are you dating our daughter? I'm like, man, rude. But also, like, it's also super cool to see her parents are supportive of him the way that he is, and that's just really nice. It's just really nice. And sometimes you laugh because her coworkers think that she's a lesbian because her boyfriend's so pretty. And I just other people have misunderstandings, but they don't have misunderstandings about each other. They're not jealous of, well, I mean, they're like jealous, and then it's like, oh no, well, he's jealous because, like, dang, my girlfriend's so pretty and I love her and I want to tell everyone about her, but everyone tells me not to. Oh, my agent and my girlfriend tells me not to, because then that'll ruin my image. But I just want to tell everyone that I love my girlfriend. And you're like, man, what a good boy. In answer to your question, Ring, yes, I have. I have read Tonko's BL. It is very different from this. Very, very different. Like, but I also like her BL, I'm not gonna lie. But it's just so pretty. Megoro's so pretty. The art's so pretty. I'm reiterating this ad nauseum, but I like established relationships. I like established couples, and seeing a relationship after the get together, like happily ever after, you know, be all end all of, oh, the first kiss, or oh, they got married, and like these people, not that these two are married, but they've been together 7 years, right? That's a pretty long-standing relationship. It's also why I enjoy things like What Did You Eat Yesterday? Because these people have a different relationship dynamic. They have a more intimate understanding of each other than people who've just started dating, or people who are like trying to ask each other out and try to figure out this relationship. That's already been done. So there's other things in life, you know, after you get into a relationship, hopefully, if that's a relationship you want to maintain, there will be many, 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 many years and a lot of time after that get-together point. So, yeah. I like seeing more of that in manga. I like seeing that more of that generally, right? But, and I understand why it's not popular. More people want to see the get-together, right? But I am biased towards slice of life, and I just want to see some people who are already in love and they know that they love each other just living together and living their best life, living their best, most supportive relationship without any drama. And yeah, so read My Androgynous Boyfriend. If you don't like her BL, don't worry. This is nothing like that, and it's got pretty boys. So yes. I don't remember which one that is. All of her BL is problematic. All of them are problematic, but I don't care. They're still good. If you read this, don't jump straight into her BL because they are very different genre-wise. So, speaking of BL, we have come to the end of my quote-unquote normal manga. Now, from here, we are going to dive into all of the gay that I read this week, and it was a lot. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 gay. Oh my god, and it's equally split. I read 3 BL and I read 3 Yuri. So I think I'm just gonna I don't know. I'll just do whatever. So first of all, speaking of problematic, not problematic content, but problematic companies, I read 2 Tokyo Pop BL this week. Well, it's problematic in that I bought it because we know that I have issues with Tokyo Pop. But again, I'm not a hypocrite. I will buy things if I'm interested in them from them. And sadly, they have a lot of good BL that I'm interested in. A lot of actually just good titles generally that I'm interested in, but typically BL titles. So in saying that, the first BL that I read was There Are Things I Can't Tell You. This is a one and done by Erako Mofu, which is the story of 2 childhood friends who believe that they have mutual... God, yeah, we're not going... Oh, Jesus. I saw that interview at like 12:30 at night, right when it was first posted, my time. And I was like, I can't even sassy tweet about this because I'm about to go to bed. And I'm so glad that I woke up this morning and everyone else sassy tweeted for me, so I didn't have to do that. But, Stu, you're delirious, sir, but unfortunately your company licenses things that I'm interested in. So I hate giving you money, but I also want money to go to Erako Mofu. And Rin, you and me both, we all know. There are very few, okay. G has her biases. We've already talked about this. We've talked about it every week. But there are some absolutes for G's enjoyment of stuff, right? Like there are just some tropes and some genres and some things that G will love, and it's incredibly predictable, but it's just I can't fight it, right? And when it comes to romance, childhood friends to lovers is so much my thing. I don't know what to do with it. I've been poisoned by the Shonen Jump well. That's what it is. But I don't know, man. Even prior to manga, I was always the one, like whenever I'd read chick lit or whatever, whenever I'd read a novel with romance in it, I'd be like, I don't care about the cool new boy who's just joined the school. I care, I like the best friend boy. I want that relationship to work out. And sometimes it did, sometimes it didn't. And it's very much maybe it was a 50-50 chance. Well, it was probably more like 70-30 chance. Let's be real. But so I was predisposed to enjoy this. I really. Yes, so Rune, this is both. I mean, obviously you've read it, but this is both of those things. So like, this is the perfect book for you, right? These are two childhood friends who both love each other, but because of misunderstandings and internalized homophobia and fear, they've rejected their feelings for each other to the detriment of their own happiness, right? And it's about them figuring it out and living happily ever after. And I'm just like, oh, I'm so glad. Oh, good boys. Also good content. But these two are very cute. So Kasumi and Kyosuke are polar opposites when it comes to personality. Kasumi is reserved, soft-spoken, and shy. Kyosuke is energetic and has always been popular among their peers. As the saying goes, though, opposites have a tendency to attract, and these two have been fast friends since elementary school. To Kasumi, Kyosuke has always been a hero to look up to, someone who supports him and saves him from the bullies. But now, school's over. The relationship suddenly becomes a lot less simple to describe. Facing the world and one another as adults, both men find there are things they struggle to say out loud, even to each other. And I loved it. I thought it was really good. So basically, Kyosuke, when they're children, he kind of befriends this quiet, shy kid. After he sees him put a wish on the Tanabata bamboo, that's like, my wish is to get married and live happily ever after with the person I love. I'm like, oh, and he's also like, oh, that's super cute, dude. That's super cute. And then they become best friends. And Kyosuke, his father's an artist or a designer or something. And he's a very talented artist. He's very likable, very outgoing, personable. But he has his father, we find throughout the course of the series, doesn't have a lot of love for him, right? He has very high expectations. He expects his son to absolutely exceed. He will accept nothing but first place, and sees like him getting first place for art projects and things like that as like expected, because I'm a famous artist designer myself. And when he was younger, like he realized that he loved boys, that he was gay. He recognized that he felt attraction to other boys, but before he could really kind of figure that out, and especially before he could admit that to his family, he overheard his parents talking about the friendship that he has with this other boy. And his mother jokes like, oh, well, maybe he, likes him. And his father's like, don't ever say that. What if you put weird ideas in his... So obviously, like, he immediately associates, after initially realizing that, he's gay and that he's attracted to his best friend, his boy best friend, he then immediately is given this perspective of like, but that's a bad thing. You should never, that you won't be happy. You can't acknowledge that. You can't let anyone know. That's wrong and terrible, etc., etc. Homophobia at its finest, right? And so later in their relationship, when they're in high school, and Kasumi admits his own feelings for Kyosuke, Kyosuke kind of freaks out and is like, oh no, I've corrupted him, and oh no, this can't be happening, and kind of sits him down and says like, no, what you're feeling isn't love. It's, you just admire me and we're really good friends, and you can't you can't be in love with me because that's not right. Like, that's not how love works. And so obviously they both got problems. Both got problems. They drift apart for a while. They reconnect after university and become friends again. But there's always this simmering of like these unrequited feelings that are actually requited, but they have internalized homophobia. So we got to get through that and figure that shit out before we can live happily ever after. And it's really good. It's really good. And there's 2 smutty scenes. One in the middle and one at the end. So fair warning. But it's also really cute. It's really sweet. It made me all sad, but ultimately happy. And I thought it was just really good. And Rin, I also die inside whenever anything is licensed by Tokyo Pop. But literally every BL that I've read from them so far has been amazing. And all of their upcoming licenses for BL sound amazing. So I don't know what monkey's paw did somebody wish on to get amazing BL licensed and then it go to Tokyo Pop. I don't know. I don't know. But again, I'm not a hypocrite. I will buy them because they are amazing and I want to read them. But yeah. So as much as I don't want to promote Tokyo Pop, this is really good. You should read it. Go buy it, read it. I think I'll do BL and then Yuri and BL then Yuri. So we're gonna mix it up. Next, we're gonna talk about some girls kissing. And okay, I said I'm not like that into relationship drama and messiness, and we had this whole rant like an hour and a quarter ago, right? But I know I saw that today and I'm so happy. I hope that they do, like, I don't hope, but I do hope that we get that second volume, because again, childhood friends to lovers. And I mean, in that interview they did say that Dekoboku Sugar Days is one of their best titles they have, so I'd be surprised if they don't get that. So I will read it. I will buy it and I will read it and I will probably love it and like have my heart be all warm. But I mean, Blackwind, you are absolutely right in that they are still better than June. And again, I am a filthy class traitor or whatever, because as much as I hate June, as much as they've screwed people over with their Kickstarters, as much as they have terrible business practices, I absolutely still buy Twittering Birds Never Fly. I still do it. I still do. And I'm both ashamed but also not sorry that I do that. And they just posted that they have a couple announcements upcoming this month. And I hope that it's more volumes of Twittering Birds Never Fly confirmed, because I want that there not to be like a 5-year break between volumes, but also I kind of am in dread, because what if they license something good? What if they license another good thing that I want? Then I'll have to give them their money. I don't want to. Yes. Tokyo Pop, if you don't get Dekuboku Sugar Days Volume 2, aka the sequel, aka whatever else, I will choose violence. It's a hopeless situation. Why do BL fans have to keep walking this line of morality of like not wanting to reward bad business practices, but also our precious content we want. If I was a better person, then maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I just learn Japanese and just buy directly from Japan. But I'm not. I I'm bad at languages as it is. You hear me talk in these videos. I'm terrible at my first language. I can't even imagine trying to get fluent enough to read in Japanese. Yes, I hope that, I don't know if you're talking about June or Tokyo Pop, preferably both. But I hope that translators, at least, we know that they get shit wages anyway, but please, especially Tokyo Pop, please be doing better business and treating your workers well than the last time you tried this. And please, June, stop exploiting your unpaid interns. That's the word I was thinking of. Please stop exploiting the free work you get from the young people that you trick into joining your company. Anyway. So the first Yuri manga that I read, or the first one that I'm going to talk about, is, again, I said that I'm not into like relationship drama. And I'm just like, oh my god, there's so many things that could go wrong here. And I also, like, I'm not a fan of romance stories that involve cheating. There's a lot of things in this book that potentially, like, if I heard the premise, I'd be like, nah, no, thank you, not for me. I don't want to read this. This sounds terrible. Well, it sounds like it's not for me. Not that it's terrible, but it sounds like it's not for me, right? But it's also created by a creator that I really love. I love her other Yuri work. I love her other LGBT manga that we got, which kind of gives it away. But this is volume 1 of Even Though We're Adults by Takuko Shimura. This is a story about two women who meet at a bar. They both drink quite a bit, and they drunkenly hook up. I don't know if they have sex, but they definitely kiss. And this woman crashes at this woman's house. Like, when they first meet, this woman asks, are you interested in women? Are you interested, like, would you, date a woman? Because obviously she's interested, but she doesn't want to be, annoying someone who doesn't have any interest, right? And she's like, yeah, actually, thinking about it, I'd be up for it. And so they spend this night together, drinking and having a great time, and then kissing on more than once. And there's a lot of chemistry and a lot of, attraction there. And then, they go their separate ways. They have work and stuff. They are in their 30s. They're in their mid-30s. They are adults. But we discover that this woman is actually, she's an elementary school teacher, but she's also married. And her husband's really lovely. Like, it's not even like he's a terrible person who's been cheating on her and, like, hasn't touched her in months or any of that shit. Like, he's just a normal guy who really likes it, like, loves his relationship, and they're quite well suited, and they seem really sweet. And she's very upfront with him about her newfound attraction and crush to this other woman, and he's, like, obviously upset because he loves his wife and he doesn't really know how to process this. And I just feel really bad for everyone, because it's just, it's not a fun read, but I do like Shimura's drama, and I think there's a real humanity to the series, and that, like, again, and this is it's not fair because I just gave Out How to Ride crap about being, like, melodramatic and, overwrought and things like that, but I do think that sometimes relationships are messy, and just because you get older, it doesn't mean that things, especially relationships, get any easier. But I always like Shimura's stuff because especially in her Yuri, her male characters are always just as dynamic and fleshed out as the female characters. Maybe that's looking for the wrong stuff in Yuri, but like I appreciated the fact that this woman's husband was actually like a normal guy who's kind of worried about what's happening to his relationship, and but kind of also trying to be supportive but trying to figure things out, like, okay, well, does this mean we get divorced? But I don't really want to divorce you. But if you're not, but that, like, if you're looking for like relationships with women, that means I'm, we're not working out. And like I just really feel for the guy, and I also really feel for both of these women, because she does love her husband, or at least she cares about him enough to not want to hurt him. But she also cares, like, she can't deny her interest and attraction in this woman. And this other woman, she doesn't want to break up a marriage. She doesn't want to get involved with people who are, with other people who are married, and especially straight women. Like, she doesn't want to cause grief or like break people apart, be a home wrecker. But at the same time, she also really likes this other girl or woman. And so it's just, they make some, I don't know, it's tricky. And I do like Shimoda's drama. I do like her character writing. This is going to be one that's like hard to talk about, insofar as, there's kind of no happy solution to this that's immediately evident, that doesn't leave somebody heartbroken or like really hurt and betrayed. And I think that nuance is something that Shimoda has always done really well. But yeah, it's good. It's good. If you like Takako Shimoda, like I do, pick it up. If you don't like, cheating, if you don't like some of these things that I mentioned, maybe give it a skip. But I do think that there's a level of humanity and understanding of like the complexity of people in her stuff, that I really like. Plus, art, as always, is really pretty. I was like, oh man, I wonder why Japanese companies wouldn't want to deal with someone who burnt every bridge when he left the industry last time. I don't know. I don't think I don't really remember what the husband's name is, to be honest. Well, yeah, no, but he does. Toma's a bit more flashy. Like, he just seems like a nice guy. But then also, like, his mother is kind of not needling, but she's, questioning about whether they're going to have kids in the future, because obviously they're in their mid-30s, and, it's just, there's a lot of pressures for women generally anyway, but like, it's messy. It's gonna be a messy ride the whole time, but I'm committed to it. I will absolutely be reading more of this, and I liked it way more than I expected to. But again, certain creators will always be able for me to do this, right? So like, it's like with Fumi Yoshinaga with some of her BL. Like, I do not, and some of her non-BL as well. Like, teacher student, no thank you, so bad, no, gross, get it out of my face. But then she can do, she's like, oh, I'm gonna do a teacher student series or couple, and it's like, I acknowledge that this is messed up, but also it's handled really well, and the series acknowledges that it's messed up. Why must you make things that I don't like good? Why must you make me think that I want to read this? But yeah, and honestly, the mother in this isn't like super pushy, but she is a little bit flighty in that she's like, well, and she just kind of invites herself over and stuff, which is not fun. But yeah, it's good. It's good. I'm sure I'll talk more about it in my haul video. The next BL that I read, the other Tokyo Pop title, I only read 2, but the last one, well, yeah, the last BL I might save for last because that's, people might want to leave before I get into it. But the next BL that I read was The God and the Flightless Messenger by Haji. I'd heard good things about this. I like kind of this fantasy God's messenger, stuff. And it was cute. It was about this guy, Shin. I just read this today. Shin, who is kind of the black sheep, literally the black sheep of the messenger or God's messengers, right? He has tiny little undeveloped wings, so he's not able to fly, and he's quite short-tempered. People or all of the other messengers, pick on him, bully him, and always have. But through kind of desperation, the god of the area, whom he's been training under, assigns him to mountain 32 out of the 32 mountains in this range that this god protects. And each mountain has like a different god. It's kind of like a apartment building or I don't know, a hotel or something. Yes, and so he goes there. He's like, we're assigning you to a god there. Do your best. Get some training. We'll see how things work out. He gets there, and the god is a big fluff ball, big hairball fluff ball, and with eyes, and it's very cute. And he's super soft and fluffy, and super soft. So yeah, see, we got little fluff ball, and we learned that like this god and this messenger aren't actually so much strangers, and actually this god has a hot human boy form, a humanoid male boy form, and so they're both kind of a little bit outcasts because this god isn't quite the same as all of the others that come hang out on this mountain, and so it's about, again, 2 outcasts finding each other, or re-finding each other, because as I said, they actually know each other, although that's not immediately something that our main character remembers because of memory shenanigans. It was short, sweet, lovely. I think Tokyo Pop has licensed other stuff from this creator, which I will be trying because I did enjoy this. It's kind of like the series is gay as hell anyway. Well, not really, but it's kind of like a gay version-ish. It could exist in something like Nasume's Book of Friends. It has a very similar aesthetic, or something like Kami-sama Kiss. Just yokai-ish gods, kamis. And again, kami, hair, fluff ball. All of the word puns. It all works. It's not like super duper romantic. I will agree that it's like, I don't necessarily want to see these 2 making out, right? But I do want them to be family forever, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like there's a real love there that might not be romantic. I mean, it is romantic because it's BL, but like, I feel like there's potential with them caring about each other in a platonic way. Also, pretty color page, so that's nice. I liked it. It was good. It's it's not going to be for everyone, and it's one of those, like, obviously it's collected in a single book. It's a very thick book. And it gets through like quite a bit of story as well in there. It was short. It was sweet. It did what it needed to do. It is one that, like, you're not going to get any explicit scenes from. You're not going to even get a kiss from. Maybe. Oh no, there's like mouth to mouth resuscitation kind of stuff, but that's shenanigans, BL shenanigans. And there's like I love yous, but if you're waiting for the explicit scenes, there's not. No. It's kind of joked at the end, like in the little comedic bits at the ending, but it's not, you're not going to be seeing these two having sex. That's not what this book is about. So if that's something you do want, maybe go in with knowing that doesn't have this. Or if you're not someone interested in that, then just be aware that doesn't have this. So, yeah, it was good. It was solid. I liked it, and it's cute. It was cute. That's the thing. It's like it's very soft and sweet and cute and adorable. So yeah, and of course, supernatural. So G is biased. We're just, but then we're not gonna. When we talk about the last one, we're just not going to talk about G's. So next is a Yuri. I'm going to talk about the two Yuris that I read because, as I said, I'm going to save the last BL for last. But this is another kind of like formulaic, been done before setting for, it's a Class S set Yuri, Catholic girls' school, all of this setup, which is typically not necessarily what I enjoy in Yuri. I don't mind it, but it's not my favorite stuff. But because of the creator, I was like, I must read this. And also, I did read it, and it was so good. It was so good. And this creator especially is so wonderful at like building an atmosphere. And that is Asamiku Nakamura's A White Rose in Bloom. This is about this girl here called Ruby, who she and Steph, who's the other girl in this relationship, right? But Ruby, her parents are trying to kind of like resolve their relationship, rejuvenate their relationship. It's been on the rocks for a little while, so they decide to go on vacation with each other, but it means that she's stuck at her boarding school over the winter holidays. And the only other student who's there with her is a girl in the year above her called Steph, and they call her Steel Steph or Steely Steph. Because she's like quite iron-faced. She's not very emotional. She's very cool and calm and collected. And also there's a rumor that she has a prosthetic leg and all sorts of things. She's a war orphan and stuff like that. And so over the course of the 2 weeks or whatever it is that winter vacation is, they don't really spend a lot of time together, but they do have a couple moments where they get closer and feelings kind of grow from that. And Nakamura is just so good. Obviously I love her art style, right? Anyway, but there's just something so beautiful about and stylish about how she draws her characters, and just something so quiet and just it's captivating. It's so amazing, right? Like, look at that. Look at how beautiful. Just the eyes, right? And it's pretty classic. I mean, it's Nakamura's style. You cannot confuse it, right? But I'm really invested in this book. It's super duper lovely, amazing. Again, despite not being like a huge fan of Class S Yuri, I immediately wanted to read the next volume. And yeah, so like we have kind of the setup, this cool girl who has all these other girls who are interested in her, and the interest between these two it hasn't quite got there yet, but well, it is reciprocated, but at the same time, then there's the jealousy going on. Meanwhile, Ruby's parents have broken up, so there's like her mother's threatening to take her out of the school because they can't afford it anymore. It's just I really liked this a lot. There was some just absolutely breathtaking scenes of this, and again, I think Nakamura just has a great sense of scale and atmosphere, and it's a use of blacks and empty space that is just so perfectly done, alongside just the absolutely gorgeous art style, that it's just 10 out of 10, honestly. Try not to cough too much on camera, I promise. But yes, read this. And I obviously, with this and with the previous Yuri that I talked about, I debuted 2 new. It is actually quite. It's not foreboding. There's an element of like, oh no, I hope they get together. And there's obvious attraction there. Like I do think that it builds up this chemistry between these 2 girls. I don't know if romantic's quite the right phrase, but it's not, or I mean, maybe romantic. There hasn't been like any grand romantic gestures, as it were, because of the personalities of these characters. But I do expect this to be, well, I don't know. You can never tell with Class S stuff, right? But I do feel like this is probably going to end with these 2 girls together, rather than like, oh, together for school and then we will go our separate ways and look at all I've learned and I am a better person from it. So, I mean, I'm biased. Just buy this anyway because it's Nakamura. Like, just do it. But it is a very lovely book, and I really did enjoy it. And it was the second Yuri debut that I read because I finished a Yuri as well. I do finish series sometimes. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. Like Utsubora. But then, like, Classmates isn't foreboding, and Maiden Railways isn't foreboding, but, like, as a master of atmosphere, I understand what you're saying. And drama and shit definitely does go down a lot of times. Well, I mean, some of Maiden Railways, some shit goes down. So, I mean, it's kind of 50-50 on that one, but it's not Usabora. Like, that's an actual psychological thriller. This isn't that. But I finished another Yuri series, and I was super happy to do so because I loved the series, and it made me super warm in my heart by the end of it. And that is Volume 2 and Volume 3 of Goodbye, My Rose Garden, a historical romance about a Japanese woman and a British woman from the upper class who, are young lady and maid. Hanako, the Japanese character, she moves to England in order to meet her favorite author, who wrote her favorite book, and to become a novelist herself, and kind of doesn't get very far with that. She doesn't have a lot of help or support, but she gets taken in by this young woman, Alice, who she's a fine young lady of high standing and good breeding, but there's a lot of rumors around that she is interested in women. So in order to kind of quell those fears, she's very, she hides out about herself, but ultimately she asks Hanako to become her personal maid, basically, and then they fall in love and grow closer, but then period appropriate homophobia. Oh no, what will happen? Will these two ladies be able to overcome the terrible homophobia and sexism and classism of Victorian England? Or will they be separated forever and live sad lives apart? And spoilers, that second thing doesn't happen. It's just really good. We know that I'm a historical fiction nerd. I love historical fiction, and especially historical romance. And the art style is beautiful. I already showed it off, but I just loved it. And there's some drama, there's some tension. Will Alice's fiance break them apart, and will Hanako ever learn that this author that she loves is actually this woman that she loves? You'll have to stay tuned. But no, Dr. Pepperco, who is the creator, love the series. Interestingly enough, weirdly, I was watching Base Jill Aaron's winter wrap-up pickups haul, manga haul, just before filming this, or coming onto the live stream. And she was talking about how the Bang Dream manga that Tokyo Pop has licensed is also done by Dr. Pepperco. And that's interesting. Like, I didn't know that. And I don't know anything about Bang Dream, but I know that I love Dr. Pepperco's art style. And they draw some beautiful ladies. And so they draw some beautiful historical settings. And so, yeah, I was really happy with this. I said it when I read the first volume. I'm sad that nobody told me to read this with great fervency, because it is very on brand for me. But I am happy that it's over, insofar as that I'm happy that I was able to experience this whole story. And I don't know if Dr. Pepperco has any more Yuri, but I want it if they do. And yeah, it's, if you like pretty ladies falling in love in Victorian England, and just to live in that aesthetic for a little while, whilst kind of trying to ignore the problematic realities, but also acknowledging them because they are acknowledged in this. Check it out. Also, there's kind of hints of a side couple, which isn't really developed in this or in these books, but I hope that Dr. Pepperco goes back to them, because I'd read a book about them. I'd read that story. And so yeah, I loved it. It was really good. And it also means that I finished a series. I don't just start series all of the time, although I say that the next book is the start of a series. So anyway, we're down to the last book for this week. One that, This I got last month. I hadn't read it I just read it by then, but I say last month, it was Sunday, right? So I read this on Sunday. I obviously did the live stream the night before, so I didn't read it. Yeah, I didn't talk about it then. But this series is a little bit different from the other BL that I've been talking about. It's a little bit different than a majority of the BL that I buy and typically enjoy and support and read and review, and that is MADK or Mad K by Ryo Suzuri. So I talked about this in my haul video, but let me see if this has to have an explicit or like a warning, right? Is it in the back? It has to have one because no, it just says explicit content, which is like a mild phrase to use for this series. So if you don't know what this series is about, MADK is actually a acronym, and it's short for Motsu Akuma and Danshi Kokose. So Motsu is guts, Akuma is demon, and then Danshi is boy, and Kokose is high schooler, right? So guts demon and high school boy, right? Rin, thank you for supporting my me talking about wild shit. But so this is a story about a teenage boy, high school boy, who summons a demon, a real life demon, in order to live out his most crazy, despicable, wildest sexual desires. He's like, okay, he summons this demon. The demon's like, okay, I'll grant you a wish. What do you want? Thinking that he's like, man, I'll give him a whole bunch of money, or like I'll be able to have sex with a cute high schooler. And no, this kid is like, I want to eat you. Like, not in some allegorical way. I want to consume your entire body. I want to you're a demon, so it's not really cannibalism, but I want to eat you, right? And I want you to kind of be alive whilst I do that. Let me eat you, right? And so this demon's like, what the fuck? But he also, like, this kid just has already signed the contract, and he's like, well, all right then. So for the following month, this boy is able to live out his fantasy of physically consuming someone, and then ultimately he gets kind of bored of eating this demon, and he decides to have sexual intercourse with the top half of this demon that's left over, because he's been eating him from the bottom up. And so, but not like in a kind of not normal, but like not oral sex or something, but he just, yes, this is eroguro. So this is eroguro. Like, definitely. There's a lot of vor in here, which is sexualized cannibalism and guts and disembowelment and stuff like that. So, forewarning. So yeah, this kid like tries to have sex with this demon's exposed guts and stuff, and then the demon's like, oh, sure, but why don't you I want to rip my throat open and you have sex there. And he does that, and he's like, man, that was great. But now I know that I'm a monster and I'm a terrible person and I don't want to do that to someone. So I want to die, right? Because that's pretty messed up. Like, I don't think you need to be a psychiatrist to realize that's pretty messed up. But I mean, hey, but the demon's like acknowledgement is like, well, you're a good person because at least you like summoned a demon to do this and didn't kill a classmate or whatever. You didn't hurt anybody because I'm a demon and I'm not gonna die from this. So good job. But also, contract's been, completed, finished. The demon's like, but I like you, kid. So I'm gonna take your soul, right? That was part of the contract. You're dead now. Took your head off. You're dead. Your family's gonna find you decapitated in your house. But hey, what do you care anymore? You're dead. But you're gonna be like my new project. So you're gonna work for me. I'm gonna teach you all about demons. And come to hell or whatever, wherever we live as demons, and I'll show you the ropes. And so it's implied that this teenage boy who is now a demon, will one day become the most powerful demon of this underworld, afterlife, whatever it may be. But right now, he's just kind of trying to figure shit out because demons are wild and they are visceral in, again, very violent, actual disembowelment in sexualized situations, tentacle, penises, all sorts of things, but all sorts of crazy, again, vor and eroguro, you gotta be like at least kind of interested in that. And I said it with my haul video. it was and there's like actually some, I'm not gonna say there's actually good parts in it because I did like this book. I like this book a lot, but I liked it because I like fucked up shit. Like this wasn't sexy. This isn't something that I was like, dang, I'm reading this because it makes me hot. No, it doesn't. But I do. I mean, I'm a Shintaro Kago fan. Like, Eroguro doesn't faze me. It's wild and it's twisted and it's creepy and weird, but it's also super interesting. There's also really beautiful about these. I love the demon design. Like, holy shit, I love the demon design. Look how pretty, like, I don't know, man. There's just something really stylish about this series, which shouldn't necessarily be like a surprise, but it's got beautiful art. It somehow makes, like, it does try to, make it at least somewhat interesting insofar as, like, being kind of sexy for those who are into it. But, like, this is the crazy end of fetishization or in fetishy, content, right? But dang, I like it a lot. This is not one to recommend without like every sort of content warning. There's very dubious consent. And that's like not even like, do I even need to talk about dubious consent or non-consensual sex in a series where characters have sex with each other's guts? And like, yeah, exactly. It's not something, this isn't like, it's not spicy in that it's like, oh man, dang, this is the porn that I want. it's certainly an experience, but if it's something that interests you insofar as whether it be demon design and eroguro or vor or guro, just general, like without the ero element in it. It's good. It's really good. It's quite an interesting premise. It's like actually does have a plot and like really interesting characters. I don't know, man. It's just I really like the design of this demon as well, like the incense one. And obviously, like, the protagonist, this this teenage boy, who obviously has kind of a fucked up mindset anyway, Makoto. You can see his morality and his personality and how he can twist morality and into ways that, or like he's very easy to accept things that like everyone else who's human is like, that goes against everything it is to be human. But again, this guy wanted to consume someone whilst they were alive and then have sex with the remains of their body. So like, obviously he has some problems, right? If there wasn't demons, he would definitely be a serial killer. And so it's kind of interesting to see the dynamic between his human side, or like being a normal high school boy, and then like being this very twisted, depraved individual with a lot of potential to fit right into demonic society. And you're absolutely right that the demons do look like demons. They look like monsters. They look like creepy, creatures with a lot of weird monster stuff, and not just like, oh, hello, I am Satan and I got my eyeliner on today, and aren't I the prettiest boy of all? But that's not to say that they're not attractive either. Like there's a weird aesthetic, interesting way that a lot of these monster designs, they're very appealing. If you're a monster fucker, is BL right now is giving you a lot of good content. It's giving you a lot of good content, and you can't complain. It's all I'm saying, right? So yeah. I mean, it's just again, it's not one that I don't know how long this is actually, and it's not one that I can recommend without like 15 asterisks about like content warnings, but I'm absolutely going to be reading more of this. Like I dug this first volume. I liked it a whole bunch. I will check how many volumes it is. But yeah, it's not one for everyone, right? It's not one that will appeal to the masses. I'm still reeling that Sublime licensed this and put it out in print as well. The fact that this not only that it got licensed. Hello, Yuri Moon. What a time to come into the live stream. Welcome. Not only that it got licensed for English, but also that it got licensed for print in English, when so many of their titles are, I mean, they do have quite a large digital-only catalog. Yeah, so as checking this, as Ray said, it's 2 volumes, but currently ongoing. I'd say it's probably going to be 3-4 volumes. It might be longer, who knows, but BL of this sort it's not really serialized in the same way that other series are. But yeah, that's everything that I read this week, alongside my digital reads that I read from Starfruit Books. Again, I will be not going into them here just because I want to talk about them a little bit more in actual specific reviews about the company's catalog and then some of their titles more specifically. But yeah, so it is late. It's past midnight. I've been talking for 2 hours. I mean, I did rant a little bit about sports manga, let's be real. But I think that I did pretty well considering there's a lot of books here. And wrap up as always at the end for those who just come in or weren't here for the entire time. I read Mad K or MADK. A BL that you should read up on before you buy it because it is not going to be for everyone. The amazing final 2 volumes, volume 2 and 3 of Goodbye My Rose Garden, a historical Yuri. Loved it. I was so happy that I gave that series a chance. Another Yuri with a white rose in bloom from Asamiku Nakamura. Just class S stuff done really well. Really enjoyed this. Nakamura, love her stuff anyway, so no complaints from me. Haji's The God and the Flightless Messenger, which was sweet and cute and just really soft and lovely. Not super it's not a must read for everyone, but I did enjoy it quite a bit, and I am looking forward to the other of this creator's works that Tokyopop has licensed, despite gritting my teeth and not wanting to give Tokyopop money. Another Yuri debut with Even Though We're Adults from Takako Shimura, another creator that I really love. And despite this being so messy and dramatic and full of things that I dislike, I really did enjoy this, and I cannot wait for volume 2. I feel so bad for literally everyone involved. Yeah, so there was that. Really liked it. Love Shimura's stuff, so understandable. The other Tokyopop book that I read and loved because it has all of my favorite tropes and broke my heart, but also is glued it back together, is There Are Things I Can't Tell You, which was super duper good. Childhood Friends to Lovers is my shit, as I said. Yeah, as you said, Rin, I have Void. I definitely bought that one. And the fact that I don't know whether it was just a timing thing or a Japanese publisher, not wanting to risk things or whatever, but who knows what gets pushed to digital and what doesn't. But I'm not going to complain either because MADK was good and I want more. Mind George and His Boyfriend Volume 2, continuing this wonderful series, really sweet, lovely, domestic slice of life romance. Really healthy couple and their dynamic, established couple, just really great. Plus, I didn't mention when I talked about it for the first time, but has recently been announced for a live action adaptation. So that's cool. That's pretty fun. And I hope we see Volume 3 soon. Volumes 2 and 3 of A Man and His Cat, which is just absolutely cavity-inducing and so heartwarming and so good. Honestly, so good. Love it to death. It's just phenomenal all around. Fantastic. Slam Dunk Volume 29, still plugging through it. 2 more volumes. This is not a series that like with all the previous volumes. It hasn't really changed my mind on the series. It's fine, but I'm not going to remember a whole lot about it. I can understand why people love the series, but I don't. is frankly the reality of that. And, it's fine. But it's very predictable in ways that don't make it engaging. And I don't care about most of, if any, of the characters, which is kind of a failure in a series where you have a lot of characters that you're supposed to care about. And finally, volume 10 to 12, which is the penultimate volume of high school melodrama, Blue Spring Ride, Al Hara Ride, where teens cause their own problems and get upset and cause problems for everyone else, and call it love. And, I'll read the last volume when my library gets it, but I think it'll be my first Sakisaka series that I finished, maybe. I don't remember if I've started or finished any. I literally don't remember, because so many of these types of high school dramas, romantic dramas, are samey. Like, it's fine. Again, Toru. No, not Toru. Oh my god. Toma treated so bad, and he deserves so much better. And good on Futaba and Ko for getting together, because they deserve each other, honestly. But I also don't see their relationship lasting that long. I'm sorry, Yorimun. I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's like the worst of its kind, but I also don't have a lot of patience for teen melodrama. It's beautiful. It does exactly what it needs to do. It's dramatic, and everybody has so many emotions about everything. But yeah, teens cause their own problems, and then they cause problems for everyone else, and then I get upset at them, and I'm like, well, it's almost over. I'll read the last volume when it comes out. But again, like with most of these high school romance series, they're library reads. It's not that I hate them. It's not that I don't think they're good. They're just not things that I return to and that I want in the collection, just because I know that I'm never probably going to read them again. And if in 5 years, in my mind, I'm like, dang, I actually really miss how Futaba has a boyfriend, but then decides to not decides to like date a guy even though she's hung up on another guy, and like then keeps doing things behind her boyfriend's back, and then they break up, and I just feel really bad for this guy who has been nothing but genuine and really nice, in order to be with another boy who's not like a bad person, but he also is kind of an asshole, and also way too cocky about getting back together with this girl who has said to him, like, stop trying to like date me because I have a boyfriend now. Yeah, it's cheesy. It's exactly what you expect when you get into it. Like, this isn't going to be surprising anyone with its content, right? Like, I think everyone can agree with that. And if you love it, that's fantastic. And I never begrudge these series getting licensed, and I absolutely will read them. But yeah, they're not ones that I tend to reread. Yeah, it's a fun experience, maybe as well. Like, I always do I go into them wanting to like them. It's not, I don't hate this. I just, it's kind of a rarity when I start a series that's a high school romance, in this sort of vein, that I'm like, dang, that was great. I need to own that because I'm going to reread it. I want to show my kids this. I want to show my partner this. This is great. I think this is like peak storytelling. Or not even that, but like, I want to revisit this in 10 years. In reality, I'll be like, oh yeah, I think I've read that. Is that the one with the guy? Like, I don't, what, is that the one with the guy? Is that the one with the romantic rival and the dead mom? Okay, like, sure. So yeah, that was the first thing that I talked about. These were all the books that I read. Oh my gosh, such a big stack. And some of these I'll be talking about again for my March haul because I got a lot of them recently. But yeah, so that's it. It's midnight. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm actually not as tired as I normally am in these streams. I don't know why. Who knows why? I couldn't tell you. But as always, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me over the course of this live stream. It has been a little bit of a longer one. Again, I did rant a little bit, so maybe that's not surprising. But yeah, as always, I thank you so much, guys, for hanging out. Yeah, welcome to the ballroom. I hope you enjoy your rewatch. If it is still there, I need to get to it myself at some point. Thanks, Tay. Have a good rest of your day. And everyone else as well. Have a wonderful rest of your night, day, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Stay safe, stay healthy, look after yourself, get lots of reading done. enjoy your week, and I hopefully will see you next week. Same time, same place. And yeah, thanks for hanging out and putting up with my bullshit, honestly. But yeah, thanks, guys. Talk to you later.